So I was in Bangalore 3 years ago in a health club, and I saw this man who was wearing this turban. I was in India. Bangalore is in India for those people who don't know that. I was in a health club with my mother, and I saw this man walked into the dining room. He was wearing t-shirt, shorts, and he was with another friend of his who had very broad build. So his chest, his shoulders were back, his chest was out, kind of like an alpha male. And he was really tall, and he must be around 60 years old. But something about the way they walked was different. And not a lot of people could notice it, but for some reason I could notice it. And these people entered the dining room, and there was a whole place where there was food kept, and it was like a buffet. And when these guys went to take the plate, the whole staff moved back. So I immediately saw that, and the gesture of the manager, like his eyes were like sparkling, and there was some form of respect and fear around these two individuals. And these were very subtle signs. Nobody was really looking at it. Everybody was having their food and talking and chatting, but I noticed this immediately. And I knew that at some point I want to talk to them. I was just having some food, and usually people don't, people can't get my attention very easily. I'm kind of doing my thing, but I just couldn't help but keep drawn to these two guys' energy. And whenever that happens, your intuition, your gut feeling, or your mind, your subconscious mind is trying to tell you something. So in a day or two, I saw them again, and, they happened to sit right next to my table. And I just started to have a conversation. I just complimented the guy who looked like an alpha male that, you have a really charismatic personality. I just complimented him. And he said, thank you. You have a very charismatic personality as well. What do you do? And then I told him, what do I do? And we started to strike a conversation. And, the three of us, the guy with the turban, the alpha male, both of them 60 plus, we three started to have a conversation. And then I asked him, where do you stay? And the guy in the turban said, I live in London. And the other guy said, I am from India. So in some time, I started to talk to them and get friendly with them and joke with them. And eventually, I started to ask them questions. You live in London. If I have to open a company in London, can you tell me what the process is like? So I started to ask very entrepreneurial questions. And I was really indicating that I'm into business. And we started to share, restaurant names and, things that I had been around. I wanted to really share with them that I had been around so that we can, build some rapport there. And after some time, I told them that I have plans of starting big businesses, and I'm really at an early age, and I'm looking for guidance. And, I'm going to visit Dan Penya's castle in a few days. So they asked me, how much is this mentorship that you're going for costs? I said around 20,000 pounds. And they said, oh, that's quite a lot. He says, yeah, what does this guy do, your mentor, Dan Penya? And I said, well, he started a company with $820 and he built it to a $400 million fortune. And we were sitting by the water cooler, and this guy, the guy with the turban, he was sitting on the stairs, like just on the, kind of on the floor, on the stairs in shorts. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. Well, I sold my company for around $500 million. And that just completely shocked me. I said, really? And he said, yeah. And he didn't shake, nothing. And I don't expect a 60, 68-year-old guy to lie like this. And then the other man, the alpha man, male, he said that you should speak to him. He has 5-star hotels in London. So I asked him, really, you have 5-star hotels in London? And he said, yeah, I have some 5-star hotels in London. And then the alpha male gave me his card and said, why don't you come to our room? We'll have a nice chat. I want to talk to you. So I was like, I wonder what they want to talk to me. And then I found out that the alpha male had $1 billion real estate portfolio, and the other man had sold his, the guy with the turban had sold his company for $500 million. 500 million pounds. And right there, I went for the meeting, and right there, I was sitting next to both of them, having a normal conversation. And, we talked a little bit, and then this man invited me. He says, you're going to Scotland, right? I said, yes. He said, I'm in London. Why don't you come see me? I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to London because I'm just going to be visiting Scotland and then back home. I said that because I might be getting really busy with my business venture after the mentorship program, and I would have to execute fast. So, but he said, why don't you come along on London? And he insisted, and I said, okay, I'll be there. And he says, just write me an email and to one of my secretaries. I'll give you the email address, and she'll book the time, and you can stay any of my hotels, or if you want, you can stay at my house. So I was like, okay, if I'm coming, then I'd like to stay at your house. And he said, okay, we'll see you then. I said, okay. I left, I go to Scotland, I message him, I call him, and then, I go to London, and I get myself a nice 3-piece suit because I had just finished the mentorship program with Dan Pena, and he recommended that I always wear a 3-piece suit for any important meeting. So I wore a nice 3-piece suit. I got into the cab. I went to his house. And just outside of his house, there was a gunman. There was a full-blown bodyguard, moving around the estate. And he stopped me. He says, what do you want? I said, call up your boss. I have a meeting. So I told him. So he called up, and I told him my name. I called him, and he said, it's okay, no problem. He let me in, and the house was just, out of this world. I've been to some mansions, but this house was completely, dripping with money. The floor was shining, the staircase was made with, it was shining like a diamond, the whole house from inside. It was just pure luxury. Better than any 5-star hotel, better than Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons. It was way better than that. You don't get to see that kind of decor, And I saw the house. I entered the house. As soon as I entered the house, there was a big glass. The whole wall was of glass, and there was a big, gigantic lawn. And I sat down for some time, and he came in and he said, hey, how are you? And then he gave me a hug, and, we sat down, we started talking. And he says, do you want to see my house? And I said, sure. And he took me around everywhere. He showed me, there was a banquet hall. It was a 2 or 3 story house. And it was 40,000 square feet. So imagine in London, 40,000 square feet. It had an indoor pool, which was 25 meters, which is a full-size swimming pool inside the house. It had a steam room. It had a spa room. It had a banquet hall that could dine 200 people. The kitchen marble was lit. It was just incredible. It had a full-blown kitchen that a hotel or a restaurant would have. There was a backside of the kitchen. It was a very huge, and it was sick house. It was amazing. And while we were at the pool, he looked at me and he asked me, now you believe me that I sold my company for, he didn't say, now you believe me that I sold my company for 500 million, but he said, do you believe me? And I said, yeah, I knew it in my gut that you were speaking the truth, but now I see it. And he showed me pictures and videos. He had done deals with Hilton hotels. He had, Hilton family. So he was speaking with the, owner of the Hilton group, and, they were signing deals together, and it was all over Google. I checked on Google his name and his net worth, and it was 500 million pounds. And like, I asked him, how did you ever think about all of this? Because I really wanted to understand that the power of visualization, because really this is something that I had in my mind, that what you really constantly think about, you become. So I wanted to understand from him and his background, how did all of this happen? Did he ever visualize this, or this just kind of happened out of luck? And I asked him, did you see all of this? And he said, yes, I saw all of this. I saw it in my mind. I saw everything. And I was like, wow. And then I asked him, how much did you pay for this thing? And he said, I paid $100 million. That is, like, just for the context, that's more expensive than Drake's house. Of course, he has more money than Drake. And I was like, wow, I'm sitting with this guy, and he's not like, people know him in the business world, but he's not like super famous. And he's living in this exclusive area in London, and it's such a huge house in London. 40,000 square feet in London is like, it has to be extremely expensive place. So we sat down and I asked him about his educational background, his experience, what he did. And I found out that this man did not even have complete high school education. And he was a refugee in the UK. So he used to live in Africa. He was an Indian by nationality, by ethnicity, but he was in Africa, and he was living in refugee camps there, due to some war or something. And his family moved to UK, and they had nothing. And he didn't even finish school. He didn't finish college, nothing. And he worked since he was, I think 15, 16. He did different jobs, and he paid his bills. And then one day he got this opportunity to buy this car parts workshop. And it was a very, due to some, whatever reasons, the price of this workshop, this business was very small. So he took out a loan and he bought this little company. He understood nothing about the company, and he turned it around. He started to make a lot of money. Then he opened a few more shops and a few more shops. And then in, I think, around 15, 20 years, he was making good money and everything. And suddenly one investment group came in and offered him this massive check. I think around $250 million or pounds, some amount, crazy amount like that. And he shared that he couldn't believe it. I mean, that he did this. And I saw, later on, I saw a bunch of his videos, his interviews, and he shares his whole story. I mean, just think about it. Like, a man comes to a new country. He has no connections. He has no educational background. He buys this company, small company. It takes a loan from a bank to buy this company, and opens up many shops, and then gets bought out by an investment firm for hundreds of millions of pounds. And now he took that money and now he bought some more hotels. He refurbished those hotels, and he's now, worth 500 million pounds. And such an approachable man, such a humble man. He was sitting on the stairs. He had little or no ego. By the way, he bought Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver, his jet. He bought a private jet. And I even asked him, did you fly in your private jet? He said, no, it's too expensive to fly. Why would you fly? He just flew first class. He was a businessman. He wasn't doing stupid shit, spending $100,000 just to fly from one place to another. He was, he came in first class, and his jets are probably are out being rented and generating money. So he has a jet, but he's generating money from that. So I saw all of this, and it just really opened up possibilities. Whenever something like this happens, your entire mindset and belief system completely rewires. So, couple of lessons from this meeting. First, I was at a premium location. I was at a location where a lot of wealthy people and celebrities come. There was a health club that I was in. So that's lesson number one. You got to be in locations which are extremely premium, hard to access, and you will find these people there. That was a lesson I learned from my mentor, Dan Pena. Lesson number two, always strike conversations. Do not be shy. Go out of your way to talk to people and just build commonalities. Maybe some restaurants you have eaten food, common interests. In this case, I am a dreamer. He was a dreamer. He has accomplished his dreams. So, these people who have accomplished a lot, they kind of they can see themselves in you if you're someone who's young, and they want to help you out. It's kind of like you have achieved a lot in life, and if I see someone younger than me and that person is struggling at something I'm good at, I always want to help out, So these people have that kind of an attitude. They don't need anything from you. And it's okay to have a conversation. So go out of your way to have the conversation. That's point number two. Lesson number three is that you don't actually need education, a formal education like college or university. This has been propagated throughout the school life that, you need to get good grades. Based on the good grades, you'll get good college. Based on the good college, you'll get a good job. And these three things, if you do all of this, at the end of the day, you'll just get a good job to pay your bills. What kind of life is that, right? This man, he didn't even finish school or college, and he made hundreds of millions. So it's just about doing it. The other thing is he did not have any experience. So one of the barriers that I had was I didn't go to Harvard or Oxford. I didn't go to, I didn't have a lot of business experience at that time. I just had big visions. So having big vision is another thing. Dreaming is another thing. And, it's okay if you don't have experience. You just have to get started. And then you learn along the way. And you cannot predict things on sitting in your house. You have to go out and take action, and you will grow with that. So he just went out and he did it. And another great thing was that he started with nothing. Another big myth in the business world is that you need a lot of connections. He had no connections. He was moving in a country which was full of strangers, and he went there and he made connections, he built connections, and he lifted up from there. And now he knows, all the rich people there. He's now in the scene. And this another thing is he was extremely approachable. So I used to think, about 10 years ago, that these kind of people would not be approachable. But he was extremely approachable, extremely kind, extremely generous. He invited me to his home. He opened up his home for me. And, I was just moved by the gesture. I was blown away. He had every supercar you can think about, okay, outside in the garage. And it just opened up such a big possibility. I mean, think about, you see someone who did not have a lot of things, a lot of privileges that I had growing up or normal people have. And still, he has made such an amount of money and he has such an amazing lifestyle. It just completely takes your goals and makes it 100 times more. And that is what I want to leave you with today. So if you enjoyed the video, if you want to watch more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. If you want to make your dreams a reality, I upload one video every single day. So hit that subscribe button and I'll talk to you soon.